Taoiseach, as you know, I've shouted very loudly for a long time about the need to fund and support the arts, and particularly arts workers in the current situation who have been starved of funding and supports to date. But there is one area of arts funding where there's been great largesse, and I really want to ask for an investigation into this. And it's on foot of a dossier that's been produced by the Irish Film Workers Association, where, if these allegations are true and very credible facts are put forward, frankly, there's a scandal going on in the Irish film industry that dwarfs the scandal of the FAI and John Delaney, and it needs to be investigated as a matter of urgency. According to this dossier, a relatively small number of producer companies have received over the last 5 years €668 million in tax relief, money from the BAI, money from RT, and in grants and loans from Screen Ireland. That money is conditional under law on quality employment and training. And indeed, the recipients of that money have to sign a declaration to Revenue that they comply with all legal and employment rights and things like the fixed-term workers contract. The very same groups who are getting this money are, as we speak, in the WRC saying they have no employees, that only designated activity companies are employers, and that even though they receive the money from government, they are not employers. And incredibly, and this is really just shocking stuff, right? I have a letter here from the 1st of September where the auditors of, for example, the producers who produce Vikings 5, Vikings 6, Badlands 3, and another Badlands production, according to their auditors, we want to confirm that during the period, no income was earned on profits derived from the exploitation of those series. No income. And they have no employees, even though they get the money from the government, which is conditional on quality employment and training. And then, even more incredibly, under EU law, they are required, Revenue are required to publish the state aid that is given to these companies. And in the Revenue documents, what we're told is that for those 4 productions by those 2 companies, they were given either 40 million in Section 481 tax relief or 120 million. Right? That's what Revenue is saying. We don't know, did we give them 40 million or did we give them 120 million? Even though under EU law we're required to be very specific about the state aid that is given to them. Now that is scandalous, and it needs to be investigated. If there's a shred of truth, and the evidence is very, very credible, there is something very rotten going on. And I want to see, Taoiseach, I want a commitment that this dossier and the allegations made in it and the situation in that industry is investigated as a matter of urgency.
First of all, in relation to the question raised by Deputy Boyd Barrett in relation to the film industry, again, I haven't seen that dossier. I can't really comment on its substance without having seen it in the first instance. I don't know whether you have submitted it to Revenue or submitted it to other authorities who may be in a position to investigate it if there is wrongdoing. I'm not clear on the status of the dossier. You can certainly send it to my department, but I'm again, the capacity to act on whatever information, how accurate information and so on, I have to wait until I see what has been alleged. I suspect, I surmise, that the vast majority of the resources relate to Revenue in terms of tax relief and so on, in terms of the film industry, which many people would regard as has been a very significant catalyst in terms of creating employment in the industry and creating work for those involved more broadly in the film industry. And you are right that obviously there was state aid implications and there's conditionality attached. But again, I would like to see the dossier, the divide between tax revenue issue or the alleviation of taxes or tax relief, sorry, and straight grants from the Film Board or from RT's procurement policies in terms of some of the companies. So all of that has to be broken down. You know, I think what is important is that people working in the industry are given that their entitlements, their basic entitlements, are met and underpinned. And it wouldn't be acceptable if there was unacceptable practices at work when significant state resources were allocated to a particular sector of the economy.